Good news for the 49ers. That's Jeff Wilson right there that you see running around at practice, taking some handoffs. Fan favorite is back off of, well, he's really not off of the physically unable to perform list yet, but his practice window has opened. And because Jeff Wilson's practice window is open, we get to see nice little videos of him that look like this, wearing the 2-2, Wayne Gallman's old number. Now Jeff Wilson, no longer wearing the 30, is back at 49ers practice. So what does that mean? Because Jeff Wilson obviously was a very good back for the 49ers over the past few years. The 49ers hope that he'll be a very good back again for them here in 2021. They should be seeing him on the field sooner rather than later. And that obviously is great news for a team that's seen so many injuries at the running back room. There's George Kittle, by the way. This is my video from practice today. So Kittle was on the other side, kind of in the middle there, so prevented us from filming him all too much. But I zoomed in, and then I got a nice video of Jeff Wilson talking to 49ers running backs coach Bobby Turner. And it looks like that conversation is actually headed in the other direction. It's a lot of Bobby Turner talking to Jeff Wilson and then Kyle Juszczyk and the other 49ers running backs. But I digress. 49ers will have Jeff Wilson back sooner rather than later. That's great news for a team that's been so beaten up in the backfield. I mean, Raheem Mostert went down, 2 or 3 plays into this 2021 season. That scuttled a lot of 49ers plans. Thankfully, Elijah Mitchell is a guy that can replicate a lot of what Raheem Mostert can do in the outside zone when he's healthy. The bad news is that he's also replicating a lot of what Raheem Mostert does as far as getting hurt. Elijah Mitchell missed practice today. You didn't see him in that video because he's dealing with a rib issue. The 49ers hope that he's going to be back at some point this week. I wouldn't hit the panic button just yet on Elijah Mitchell's availability for Sunday's game against the Cardinals, but he is a slightly smaller back, and he already has gone through some injury issues. And the 49ers really, really badly need his skill set out there. I talked about this in a different video. The outside zone is dependent on a specific skill set of back that not only has the speed and the burst to get to the outside, but also has the vision to hit tiny little creases. Guys, I was in Chicago, and you can't see this on TV. You can only see it if you're at a certain angle watching a game in person. And I was lucky enough to have an off-center seat in the press box because they put all the hometown riders closer to the 50 in Chicago. Well, they put all of us visiting guys way closer to the end zone. So I was basically at one of the pylons watching this game develop. Normally, it's not the best seat, but to watch Elijah Mitchell hit outside zone creases, it was an awesome seat because I could see, not only the horizontal acceleration, but I could also get a little bit of that vertical view where I could see how small the crease was and I could see how Mitchell had to make that one cut to get through it. And there was this, I think it was on the longer run down the left sideline on the far side of the field. And for those of you watching on TV, that was inverted because for some reason at Soldier Field, the TV camera was on the opposite side of the press box. But on one of those far side runs from my vantage point, it was narrow. It was really narrow. And Elijah Mitchell kind of had to go sideways to get through that hole at full speed. But he got through it. He might not have even been touched, and it turned into a big gain. So you can see that, running backs matter. You can't just plug any guy into the Shanahan system and have it work. And Elijah Mitchell is a guy that makes it work. So what will the 49ers do when Jeff Wilson returns? Because this is a guy who obviously can run the outside zone, but I think he could succeed in a gap scheme. He can succeed in inside zone to a greater degree than the other 49ers running backs because of his violent running style. I think that the return of Jeff Wilson is going to allow the 49ers to go much more by committee in the backfield because of the complementary skill set that Wilson will offer to a player like Elijah Mitchell. Now, obviously, this is assuming that everybody stays healthy, which is really key. But I do think that Kyle Shanahan has a dual track kind of plan going here. He's got his short-term plan and he's got his long-term plan at running back. I think once Trey Lance takes over as full-time quarterback, which most likely is going to happen in 2022, moving beyond then, the 49ers are going to incorporate a lot more read option into their offense. And they may incorporate it this year, and I think they will incorporate Trey Lance packages this year as things progress. But if you're looking for an overarching long-term vision for Kyle Shanahan's offense, I think you have to look at the fact that Trey Lance is going to be more of the outside running threat himself with his legs, and a guy like Trey Sermon is going to be more of the inside zone in between the tackles burst coming out of some of these potential read option handoffs, which is why I think that a running back like Trey Sermon is more tailored toward the 49ers' future than he is toward the present. Elijah Mitchell just has more of a burst, more of a vision for that standard outside zone than a guy like Trey Sermon, who's a little bit bigger than Elijah Mitchell does. And therefore, I think you see the 6th round pick getting more play time now than the 3rd round pick. But there's a spot for Sermon, obviously, as a depth piece, even on this 2021 team, even with Jimmy Garoppolo a starter, and with Garoppolo, obviously, the outside zone focus from the running backs is heavily emphasized. There still is room for Trey Sermon, but it's more as that rotational depth piece that might get a few carries a game, especially as the season progresses and guys have more and more bruises. But I think that the true bread and butter of this 49ers rushing offense moving forward is going to be Elijah Mitchell running the outside zone and Jeff Wilson offering that complementary violent. I mean, they call his running style violent for a reason. He's going to imprint an attitude, and I think most of those runs are going to come on the inside. So that's the way I see it. Today, Matt Barrows and I wrote a prediction piece that's going to come out on The Athletic tomorrow. Yeah, I think Elijah Mitchell is going to become the 49ers' first 1,000-yard rusher in the Shanahan era. They had Carlos Hyde run for about 960 in 2017. And then every single season since then, the 49ers have had a different leading rusher rush for less yards than the leading rusher in the year prior. So in 2018, it was Matt Breida with 800 and change. 2019, it was Raheem Mostert in the 700s. And then in 2020, it was Jeff Wilson with 600. I think it's going to be 5 years, 5 different leading rushers for the 49ers, and you're going to see the rookie Elijah Mitchell take the cake this year, with Jeff Wilson obviously coming on late here. And I think he's going to have a few hundred yards if he stays healthy, but they're going to be different types of yards than Elijah Mitchell, and they'll diversify the 49ers backfield in a way that they want to. Elijah Mitchell's averaging 16 rushing attempts per game right now. Too many. I think that's got to go down to 12 or 13. Jeff Wilson's going to get some of that load. Trey Sermon's going to get a little bit more of that load as he develops further. But I think really the time for Sermon is the more distant future with Trey Lance, whereas Elijah Mitchell is, the guy that the 49ers really want to pair with Jimmy Garoppolo right now. Any questions? Let's talk some running backs for this video. I'm trying to pump more of these out as this season really starts rolling. If you missed the one from this morning, we talked about the Cardinals and the Rams and how these next 2 weeks are an inflection point for the 49ers. I'm also posting practice update videos. So make sure while I have a minute here to go on and subscribe right now. Do it now if you haven't done it yet, because the channel is growing and these interactive videos are a lot of fun. I'm going to eat Indian food tonight, by the way. I'm very excited about that. My friend is cooking a bunch of different curries. So I'm going to have some good Indian food. Then maybe I go on a run after that to burn it off a little bit. Went swimming yesterday, so I could afford to eat whatever I want today. Swimming in the bay, by the way, too. Water is getting chilly, and I forgot my cap at home. My head almost froze. Come on, guys. Questions. Got a lot of comments, but no questions. Oh, this is a good question. It's not a question. It's rhetorical. Jay Anthony's asking a rhetorical question. Wilson and Mitchell? Question. Oh, man. Yep. Oh, boy. Wilson and Mitchell. That's going to be a good combination for the 49ers, but they have to stay healthy. I mean, right now, Mitchell's status is in question for this weekend, so it's important that the 49ers take care of that concern before the Cardinals come into town. By the way, the Cardinals might not have DeAndre Hopkins, they might not have Kyler Murray, and they certainly won't have J.J. Watt. Therefore, the 49ers, who started the week as underdogs, are now 1-point favorites. Terrence says, I think that Wilson will be complementary to Mitchell like he was for Mostert. Absolutely. I think that's what I just said, but I think Terrence might have beaten me to it since he commented about 8 minutes ago, and this video has only been going for 9 minutes. I promise I didn't read off of your screen, Terrence. I promise that was my own thought, but you have a smart thought, and I guess great minds think alike. Here's a question. I wonder what will happen to Jalen Hurd now. Well, we're just waiting for Jalen Hurd to be healthy enough to potentially play. Haven't gotten an update in a while, so we'll wait and see. He's not taking up a roster spot on injured reserve right now, so the 49ers are okay with that. More or less confident in Mitchell winning Rookie of the Year. I know a lot season left. I mean, I would never be confident in anybody winning Rookie of the Year because that's a competitive award and running backs get hurt. As you speak right now, Mitchell currently has hurt ribs and he didn't practice. So I would say I'm less confident in him winning Rookie of the Year. However, I do think that he'll have a 1,000-yard season, which would put Elijah Mitchell in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. But then you have to fight the stereotype of, oh, Shanahan can plug any running back in and you can do this and that, which just isn't true. But the stereotype is still there. And it probably would be a factor in any potential Elijah Mitchell Rookie of the Year voting. Yeah, the 49ers have JaMycal Hasty, but I think it's clear that JaMycal Hasty doesn't have the type of burst to be a outside zone stud like Elijah Mitchell. I think that JaMycal Hasty is another violent back, has got a nice cut back, runs some of the short yardage and inside zone stuff much better than other 49ers running backs. But when we talk about sprinters, bursters to the outside, we're referring to Raheem Mostert, who's obviously done for the season, and we're referring to Elijah Mitchell. I don't even put Jeff Wilson in that category. I think that Jeff Wilson, JaMycal Hasty, they do different things than Elijah Mitchell and Raheem Mostert. And it's great to have guys that do different things because then you build yourself a nice backfield. And yes, JaMycal Hasty does have good hands. Unfortunately, he slipped against Indianapolis on that. What I thought was a nice throw from Jimmy Garoppolo down the sideline. Could have changed the course of that game in the rain, but Hasty slipped, and that happens in rain games. That's why we can't put all too much stock into what some of these offensive guys do in those games. My score prediction, I think the 49ers win on Sunday. I'm not sure about the Cardinals' health situation, and that's a good thing for the 49ers because if nobody's sure about who's going to play for the Cardinals, and it's star names that are currently questionable, like Kyler Murray, like DeAndre Hopkins, that tends to play in the 49ers' favor. I also think that it's a great sign for the 49ers that they were very close to knocking Arizona off, even when Arizona was close to full strength a few weeks ago. And the 49ers weren't anywhere near full strength with Trey Lance obviously starting that game and the offense not being very efficient. I mean, the 49ers are much more ready now to give Arizona a fight than they were when they played down at, what is it, State Farm Stadium? Yeah, State Farm Stadium. So it's going to be a tough contest regardless of Arizona's health status because the Cardinals are so balanced. I mean, I could pop this open right now. I talked about this morning, but we might as well get it back open and talk about it again because this is the handicapping of the NFC West, which I mean, it's just a tough division. Russell Wilson just posted a video of him throwing the football for the first time in a while the other day. That means the Seahawks are going to try to make a move here coming up soon. And the 49ers obviously have the Cardinals and the Rams on tap. And when you look at the Cardinals and the Rams, you have two teams. Oh my God. I thought I had already logged in. I guess I hadn't. Anyway, Smarter Sports Coverage, just $3.99 a month. Make sure you sign up for The Athletic. By the way, you could do it at this comment. I swear to God, I'm not trying to tell you guys something by not showing you what I wanted to show you. But for some reason, I mean, it says that I'm logged in, right? Maybe I logged in as the wrong account. Anyway, I better take this off. My score prediction to answer your question 49ers. I think it's going to be another good performance from their offense. I think the 49ers score 20, 26 in this game. I think Arizona scores 20, 26 20 49ers over the Cardinals. I'll stick to that one. That's going to be my prediction. Now, if Kyler Murray plays, if DeAndre Hopkins play, can the 49ers hold them to 20? Well, they held them to 17. They held them to 17 in Arizona. So, yeah, we'll see. It'll be good. Question from Niner in Boston. I love Boston. I lived there for grad school for about a year and a half. Is D'Amico learning fast enough for the D to be more consistent to help us get that last wild card berth? First of all, I think it's too early still to talk about playoff positioning. There's an outside shot the 49ers can get back in the West race if they win these next 2 weeks, for example. I mean, there's still 10 games left. So let's be a little less specific about the wild card berth or whatever. Let's just talk about the 49ers' ability to win games, especially against these division rivals right now. I think D'Amico Ryan schematically has actually done some good things. I think he's learning on the job. I think Eric Davis, former 49ers cornerback today, who knows a lot more about the X's and O's of defense than I do, said that D'Amico Ryans has been underrated. I think it's more of a technique issue for the 49ers defensively. I mean, the pass interference disaster has had very bad downstream ramifications, right? Guys not turning their heads, not playing the deep passes correctly and setting NFL records for pass interference led D'Amico Ryans to have to adapt and play a softer scheme against the Bears because Justin Fields was such a deep throw happy quarterback that the 49ers and D'Amico Ryans didn't want to be victimized by pass interference penalties and deep passes again. So D'Amico Ryans had to back off a little bit. It all comes down to your players executing, and I understand the 49ers have lost Jason Verrett. I understand they may be down two safeties this week in Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart. Um, so that explains a lot of the technique issues. Guys are out of position. Guys were committing pass interference, but it's hard to blame a lot of that on D'Amico Ryan. So based on what I've seen so far, he's been aggressive. He's brought some blitzes. A lot of those have worked. And the 49ers, minus those penalties, would actually be a pretty good defense. Now, when I grade the defense, I include the penalties, but I don't blame them on the coordinator who is sitting there scheming up these plays. I blame them on NFL talent doing and or not doing stuff that NFL talent should be doing, and doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. That's creaming receivers 50 yards downfield for these pass interference penalties. So to answer your question, yes, I do think D'Amico Ryan is learning fast enough. I do not put some of these struggles on him. I think that the 49ers have been badly damaged by their lack of defensive tackle depth against the run. That's the Javon Kinlaw injury, and by secondary injuries, including Jason Verrett's. I mean, yeah, you do want to play the ball more instead of pressing the receiver. The issue is you saw that in the Arizona Packers game on Thursday night. If you start looking around for the ball, the receiver can deke you a little bit, right? And Devontae Adams, I believe, or was it? No, it was the other way around. It was that was DeAndre Hopkins that I believe had put on the deke, and the Packers cornerback was just kind of helpless there. So you have to you have to play the receiver and be sure that you're not getting faked out and be sure that you're playing your technique while also looking up for the ball. It's tricky. Is it easily correctable? Perhaps. Josh Norman said that it was, and the 49ers corrected it, albeit in limited opportunities against the Bears. But this is hard stuff, and that's why you want good cornerbacks. That's why you want good defensive backs, and that's why losing a guy like Jason Verrett really does hurt. And it's also why the 49ers invested even more in their pass rush at the trade deadline by bringing in the guy from the Texans, Charles Omenihu, right? That they want that pass rush to be better. It hasn't been good enough. It's been a little hurt. D Ford missed the last game with a concussion. Samson Ebukam has been gimpy. He hasn't been what the 49ers have expected. Maybe that last game he turned a corner with those 5 pressures. But if the pass rush is better, you alleviate pressure from second-rate defensive backs. And the 49ers have a lot of second-rate defensive backs playing right now because of the Verrett injury and other injuries back there. They're going to have to start 2 new safeties in this game, and it's not going to be easy. Okay, guys, time for me to go get some dinner. So I hope that you enjoyed our look at Jeff Wilson and you enjoyed this Q&A. Everybody take care. We will talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.